Chris, I know as a coach you're always thinking ahead. How much prep, how much thinking have you done about that first game in Ireland and getting the kids prepared?
Well, we're getting the kids prepared a little bit from getting preparations for us all going, been a year and a half now. But we won't start that prep until we get into fall camp, truly the preparation. But all the support staff and sports science, nutrition, all that stuff, that's been ongoing for, 16 months now.
Is there anything you think you're going to stress with the kids about just getting their bodies
just
right,
recovery and trying to get their bodies back for Saturday is the number one thing. You know, flying overnight, it's a challenge. Both teams got to do it. And then who can get their bodies back and play really good on Saturday. And then coming back, there's a lot of logistical things that we're considering, but we've got a plan.
Compared to opening with an FCS program, opening with a Big 12 game in this, how does that change how a coaching staff approaches it?
It changes it for sure. Last time we did this was 2021. We opened up at AT&T against Stanford. I think there increases the urgency of the players, increases the urgency of the coaches and the staff, because you need to put your best foot forward. You're not just going to play a guy because you want to see what he's like. You want to play the best players you have and try to do whatever you can to be successful, and not sacrifice the game by having to play a young player if he's not ready. You've got other times potentially to do that. And we had that situation against Stanford. I've looked at a lot of notes of what we did during that prep, but it's a big challenge, but you're going to play all these teams anyway. It doesn't matter. And so I just thought it was a great opportunity for the Big 12 to showcase Big 12 football with two great programs.
Coach Klieman has been your D coordinator for quite a while now,
Yeah.
but before you gave him the promotion, he was kind of an unknown, at least to a lot of people. Thinking back, what gave you the confidence to know he was your guy?
Yeah, you see, I've been around Joe for, since probably about 2011, and I say that meaning when we were at North Dakota State, we ran the biggest camps in the country, and Joe was always guest coaching, and so he would help me or help coach Standard, coaching linebackers, and so I just got to know him, talked ball with him a lot, 11, 12, and 13. Then when I got to be the head coach, I wanted to hire him in a capacity. Matt Hentz had already named defensive coordinator, so we interviewed Joe. He's blows you off the charts of his knowledge. We hired him in 14. He was with us all the way there through 2018, and then he was an easy guy for me to bring to K-State. And then, as you guys have seen, as we've had openings, I've elevated people, and Joe had interviewed for 8 years with me prior to even getting the job, as almost 10 years with me, because I'd just known him that long. And he's underrated in my opinion. He's one of the best defensive coordinators in the country, not because of just play calling, but of preparation and getting kids prepared.
Coach, after winning multiple FCS championships right here in Frisco, what's been your overall impression of the city?
I'm a huge Frisco fan. Should be. We won 7 of them here. We should have a pretty good spot here in Frisco. And then I was here last year when my kid won, because he's a coach at North Dakota State. It's grown unbelievably, but it's a great community, and forever Frisco is a second home, because of some of the best memories in this game I've ever had have come from here.
Back to Joe, what can you say about you and your staff's ability to adapt defensively with all the changes in college football recently?
Well, you can be hard-headed and just say, here's what we're going to do, and fit the players around it all the time, or you can be innovative like we've been for a long time, of adjusting first down defense to third down defense to what our best players could play and be successul. And we've had to do that for bowl games. We've had to play 4 down 2 years ago because we didn't have enough defensive backs. We've done different things on first down and second down. Joe's just adapted so well to what we're doing and to what is our talent. And I know our players have great confidence in him.
Avery said he's putting a lot of pressure on himself to throw a better deep ball this season. What improvements have you seen from him there?
Yeah, Avery's going to put pressure on himself. He's his biggest critic, which is an awesome thing, because he doesn't want to hear all the things he does great. He wants to hear the things he doesn't do as well. And if somebody said he didn't throw the deep ball well, he's going to work on that nonstop. He's always working on his craft. whether it's deep ball accuracy, whether it's taking what the defense gives him, whether it's knowing when to tuck it and run, knowing when to run and run out of bounds, or knowing when to turn it back and get a big first down for us. All those things I think are going to show up because you're in another year as a starter.
Coach, thinking back.
When you first started, could you have imagined coaching a game in Ireland?
No, but I've watched all those that have been over there, and I've talked to every coach or somebody on that staff, the people that have gone over there. So it's our opportunity to do that. Shoot, we've talked to a lot of NFL teams that have taken teams over there. We're turning over every stone to find out ways to take advantage of that.
Specifically having to start a week earlier because of week 0 and with fall camp and the season as a whole, just how have you kind of tried to address that?
Well, it stinks from a vacation standpoint, I'll tell you that, because we're back at work a full week earlier than we would typically be. So time away from your families and your children, that's the hard thing. The benefit of it is we're going to have an experience of a lifetime going over to Ireland and taking our players over there and support staff and all the people. But we got to realize it's not a bowl game, and I'm going to get that across quickly that it's not the Rate Bowl where we get a month off afterwards. We're flying back the next morning and we're going to work, so we got a game next week. So excited about the opportunity.
Coach, thinking back to last year at the Iowa State game, you made the comment about 8-win team only being a handful of teams in the country able to do that every single year. What's a successful year for this group?
Yeah, I'm not going to get into wins and losses on that. I know I've caught a lot of grief for that. I'm not going to apologize for anything. I'm not going to apologize for having a successful program. People can determine what success is. I know this. Everybody in this place, and you guys have been here. You walk around and see some of these players, there's some dudes here. I saw a handful of quarterbacks could start from anybody in the country, and we've got one of them. And there's really good players in this league. The team that does the best handling the adversity and blocking out the outside noise, the two teams are going to play in Arlington because there's enough talent on every. Arizona State was picked last in this league and won the league. This is a hard league to win, and it's hard to win college football games. So the team that does the best and puts the we before me mantra out front is going to be the one that plays at the end.
You had two guys decide to come back for next year, and Cody and Taylor. What did that mean to you, and what just do you like?
I guess I take that as two things. One, every kid that's had a chance to come back for that extra year typically chooses to stay with us and not enter the portal to see what's out there, and that's a credit to our program and the people in our locker room and our staff. Cody, we had long conversations with because he had a full-time job. He was ready to go to work, and he wanted to end on a better note, and he wanted one more chance to play college football because I think he knew if he hung up the cleats it'd be for the last time. And then with TP, TP was one of the best offensive linemen we had in 2020 in that pandemic year. And going into 2021, he was one of the best offensive linemen in the Big 12, got it cut short. Going into 2022 was getting back healthy, got it cut short. Played good football in 23 for missing 2 years. Played exceptional football in 24, and I think he wanted to make sure that he had his last opportunity to play his best football. And this is year 7 for me, and not very many times can you say I got a kid in my original recruiting class.
Right.
That's in year 7 with me.
Coach, on that, some other coaches are talking about trying to assess the commitment level of a recruit. Like, is this kid really going to come to 3 or 4 years? How much of a part of that process is that now for you?
Yeah, it's a big part, but I don't know what you're getting at an accurate information because you don't know them that well. They don't know you that well. Are there other opportunities that they may have? Are they going to come here and be really successful to your program? How they brought up, their family background is really important as well. And for us, the kids that are usually from closer proximity to Manhattan typically stay longer.
So one of the guys you added in the portal was Gunnar Maldonado.
Yeah.
What impressed you when you looked at his film, and how has he settled in?
Man, I was the one that picked up the phone to call him myself when he got in the portal. And the reason is I watched enough crossover tape when we were, playing different teams. I'd see Arizona, and that kid always showed up. And fortunately, when we played him, you guys had somebody hurt, and he had to play a different position, and we exploited the guy that he had to replace because Gunner's a great football player, and I know he had a season cut short, and we haven't seen much of him yet because he's still coming back from injury, but that kid's got that it factor, you can tell, and he's a two-time captain. I'm excited to watch him play. Haven't seen a lot of him other than just being around. He fits in with our guys.
Coach, you look what Arizona State did last year, and you played them,
Yep.
them going worst to first. And is that kind of a good thing for the rest of the conference to rally around? Because no matter where you're picked or people's projection of you, you can do that.
Yeah, it's good and it's bad. It was bad for Kenny because he didn't get ranked high, and that's why we got rid of our rankings this year. Because our coaches poll meant nothing. We don't want anybody to have I wouldn't want any AP or USA Today poll until the CFP came out, because it's a narrative that doesn't need to be discussed, because you're not knowing any team until 6, 7, 8 weeks into it anyway. But Kenny's a good friend of mine, and they've got great football players, and that goes to show you how competitive this league is and how difficult it is to win those games.
Chris, what do you think of Rich Rodriguez joining the Big 12?
Yeah, I'm excited for Rich Rod. I've known him for a while. He's had great success at West Virginia, had great success as a college coach, and deserved the opportunity to get back to Power 4. And we don't play him this year, but big fan of Rich Rod.
Collectively, what are the greatest strengths of Big 12 coaches?
You know what? They're all good dudes. I think that's the greatest thing is the ones that are here. It's not the only time I talk to them. I have conversations with a lot of these guys quite frequently, because we all are in each other's shoes, and we all are dealing with stuff that we've never dealt with before, and we have no problem sharing with each other how we're dealing with something, because we want to help each other. Maybe it's helping each other to beat another school outside of our league. We know we're going to be competitive in our league, but I think we use each other for sounding boards really well.
Y'all play the Colorado Buffaloes this season, so as Deion Sanders enters his year 3 of the Colorado Buffaloes coach, what makes him unique?
He's his own guy, and tremendous respect for Coach Prime. Does it his way, and does it a way that's really successful. We were fortunate to go up to Colorado last year and eke out a win in a game that was down to the wire, but those kids played their tails off, or both teams did, and I think he's great for college football. I really do, and I think he's a great fit at Colorado.
Is it hard to figure out, you and your staff, how much money revenue sharing to offer a freshman coming in?
Very hard.
I
don't think there's an exact science to us, Kellis. I think we need a full year in this system to figure out how this is all going to work. Clint does it all for me. Brownie does. He asked my opinion on some things, but I don't know the books. He's the only one that knows the books. None of our assistant coaches or coordinators know. I don't want those guys to know. I know more than those guys. But Clint does a really good job. But you're right. You have a freshman. It's a big factor. Is he coming in January or coming in June? Because he's a part of the cap in 25-26, or he's a part of the cap starting in 26-27. Those are tough things to answer and have. We have a lot of ranges. We offer kids, and there's some ranges. There has to be, because what happens if you don't have kids go to leave? What happens if a kid that's draft eligible, and Austin Romaine, and Jason Avery decides to come back? Who knows what's going to happen on those things? We need a full year in this cycle to figure it out.
What do you anticipate the biggest challenge of all the new house settlement stuff going to be for the program?
Diminished rosters. That's the number one thing. We didn't get to grandfather many kids back because it took too long to get it done, and all those kids have found a spot. My fear is with the rosters being shrunk, kids still being able to redshirt, kids being able to transfer. We don't know when that transfer portal is. Somebody's going to have to bail out of a bowl game because they don't have enough players. And then we'll look at it and say, we need to add back to the rosters, because it's going to be an embarrassment for the school, for the bowl, for the league, whatever it is. I know Marshall had to back out for different reasons, but it was kind of the same deal. They didn't have enough players. That was not a good look for college football. and that looks going to continue because not enough guys, people don't have enough players, and I hope they change their mind, and I don't know if they do, and add kids back in and get these rosters back up.
What number did you end up at roster-wise?
I couldn't even tell you. I really don't know. I don't know if it's 108, 107, somewhere in there.
Do you think the new revenue sharing model will be a positive after it?
I hope it is, but there's the NIL outside. NIL Go with Deloitte. We got to see how that operates. But I think the administrators are much more optimistic than the media is, and we're probably somewhere in between as coaches. Administrators, that's all they work on, and media, that's all you hear. And so you guys hear some stuff that I don't know if it's accurate. The ADs are talking about stuff that they share in their circle, and then we're somewhere in between as coaches. I know this, because of the front loading that schools had, you're still having $50 million rosters this year, and $45 million and $55 million. You're still having those rosters. You're telling me all of a sudden those guys are going to go down to 15 next year? No way. There's no way they are. So where's that money going to come from? How is it going to get there? Because you're not taking a $50 million roster and turning it into 15. There's somehow they're going to, and maybe it's, we hope somebody gets caught on it, because it's either going to be bags under the table or something, because these teams that have been used to playing on that amount of money aren't going to go back down to 16, 17 million. They're just not. That is my opinion on it. We'll find out.
Not money-wise, obviously, but one of those teams that's made a splash in the portal and with money is Texas Tech.
Yep.
I guess what are your thoughts on what Joey's done? Not necessarily the money part of it.
I don't want to get into that because it's not Joey's deal.
I'm just saying. I'm just talking about their program.
Joey's done it. He's a good friend of mine, and Joey's done a phenomenal job at Texas Tech. Done a great job, and brought a ton of life and into that program, and they're a dang good program. I'm glad we get them in Manhattan and don't have to go down to Lubbock so I can get drilled by the tortillas. But we're glad we have that game at home. But tons of respect for Joey. Joey's one of my dear friends, and wish nothing but the best other than 1 week.
What has Matt brought to the program for you guys?
Phenomenal. Matt has been a game changer for Avery Johnson, been a game changer for our offense, helped me immensely. You have a sitting head coach coming in to help me when I have questions or bounce things off of. You got an offensive coordinator in Matt Wells. That's how he got brought up into this. A quarterback guy, that's how he got brought up into it. And an offensive innovative mind. So I'm excited for Matt because we have more pieces than we had last year, and Connor did a great job, but we had to give the ball to DJ Giddens. He was our best player. We had to give it to him. We have so many more pieces now, so I'm excited for what Matt's going to do.
Are him and Avery really close?
Really close. Really close.
What kind of bonus can come with that?
I think you're in the same room so often with the guy, as well as you're in the room with the guy that's calling the play. So you can say, hey, I really like this, or Matt may say, tell me why you like it, because I just don't. I don't see it. They can have that conversation firsthand right away and kind of iron out what their thoughts are, because you want that quarterback to like what you're calling, and you want him to think that, yeah, that's the best one. So the collaborative effort there is really good, and that's something that Matt does such a great job of communicating with Ave in the room, because I'm in that room a lot, as well as on the practice field, and so I'm excited about year 2 with those two together.
How are things with Jacob and Blake right now?
Awesome, really good. We haven't named anybody. Dylan Duff's still in that mix too. We didn't have enough practices in the spring. It's going to be great competition in fall camp.
We're interested in how
established returning starting quarterbacks in this league right now.
Yeah.
Kind of an overwhelming thing when you start looking at the schedule.
No, well, it's awesome for our league, for starters, because that told you there was 9 kids that probably got tampered with and didn't go anywhere. That's what I'd tell you. All those kids probably had an opportunity to do something else, but they believed in their school, they believed in their teammates, they believed in their coaching staff, and they believed in this league. And that told me a lot that all these guys stayed.
You gotta go over, I guess, the decision that the coaches made about no media poll.
Same thing. What did it do to Arizona State and BYU with having a media poll? took Arizona State so long to get any accolades, and they ended up getting their just due, which was awesome. I don't think Kalani got his just due, because Kalani had a really good season, but they were so late because of not being ranked very high that it took them forever, and they beat a team that won a league and got in the playoffs, and that never even got talked about. So that's one of the reasons we just said, why do we want to put a narrative out there as coaches that hurt our programs and our teams in our league last year?
We're talking about guys that stay, but obviously there's a lot more movement in college football now, a lot more balls. How as a coach have you had to change as far as trying to build team chemistry?
I try not to change. I try to get the guys that fit what we're doing. We still have a locker room of close to 50 plus guys in their third, fourth, fifth year. That's a culture. That's a locker room. And then those guys vet the kids that do come in and say, hey, you're going to fit with us or you're not going to make it with us. That's culture. That's sustainability. But yeah, you have to adjust a little bit, based on the fact that there is a financial part involved with it.
How cool is it to see Will and Skylar right now in the same NFL room? Yeah,
it's awesome. I hate to think that one of them may not be there. We don't know, but I know once they signed Aaron that was going to be hard for both of them. But hopefully they both get a chance to stick, with them or with another club, because they're good enough to play at that level.
A little bit more specific with Jaden Rowe. He brings a unique size, athleticism to the secondary. How quickly does he need to acclimate, and what's his ceiling for his more of a defensive philosophy?
Well, it helped us to have Jaden here for the spring, because he got a chance to have 8 practices and a ton of meetings and get with our guys. Jaden, guys that are around us, reminds me of Julius Brents. There's not many 225-pound corners in college football, but he's athletic, he's really fast, he's really physical. He just needs repetition, and he's going to get that in fall camp. He'll be a factor for us for sure.
Coach, there's a lot of talk about Avery Johnson earlier. What improvements do you hope to see from him?
Everything. It's not one thing, it's everything. Things pre-snap to post-snap to situational play. You already saw what the kid looks like. He's put on 18 pounds of muscle mass and looks really different than he did last year in Vegas, in my opinion. But that's hard work. He put that himself. Plus, he's a year more mature, 13 games under his belt. I'm excited about watching him perform this year.
How's the coaching staff evaluating the offensive line's development in both protection and run blocking, especially for QB?
Yeah, we've got one of the best centers in college football in Sam Hecht. We've got Andrew Langang and TP they're returning. Then we've got 4 transfers that come in plus some young guys. We'll continue to evaluate that as the fall camp goes on.
Ryan Davis has been a name that's popped up here a couple times. What's his ceiling looking like for you guys?
Ryan's going to have a fabulous year for us. He's taken that next step, did it in spring ball. Great pass rusher, continuing to work on his run game stuff, but phenomenal pass rusher, and has a motor that won't quit, and is extremely strong, physical, and he's one mean, nasty kid. I love watching him practice, because you're gonna have to say whoa a few times, because he's gonna crank it up.